Hello, I am former Marine Captain Robert Germino, and I'd like the privilege of representing you in the 13th District of the New York State Assembly. Our state is facing many formidable challenges. It's going to take bold leadership and major changes in Albany to overcome them. That's why I am proud and excited to join with former Mayors Ed Koch and Rudy Giuliani in the New York Uprising project, a bold, nonpartisan effort to end the corruption and dysfunction in Albany and get our state government working for you again. New York is in serious trouble. Our once proud Empire State is being held hostage by professional politicians determined to stay in power at all costs. Serious reform of the budget process, ethics, and redistricting would make a huge difference in curtailing this sad state of affairs. Therefore, I have pledged my support for the three primary goals of this project, designed to put an end to corruption in Albany and reinstate the public's faith in government by offering real, honest, and sensible solutions. New York State's budget process and practices are a disgrace. The current membership and leadership in both of our state houses must be held accountable. They routinely produce budgets that are late, include spending increases far outpacing inflation, and are littered with gimmicks and borrowing. The 2010 budget was 125 days late and spends a whopping $136 billion, which is a 34% increase from a mere 6 years ago. This is double the rate of inflation during that period. All this while our state and country have been going through a severe recession. Our taxes and fees, including the oppressive MTA tax, which imposes a crushing burden on small businesses in the 13th District, continue to skyrocket. This has caused New York to bleed jobs as businesses flee the onerous taxes and regulations imposed by Albany. According to the Nonpartisan Tax Foundation, New York ranks 49th in its State Business Tax Climate Index and has the second highest state and local tax burden in the nation. We have been living well beyond our means, and reform is critically needed. Therefore, I have pledged to support the creation of an independent budget office to oversee budgetary matters, the adoption of generally accepted accounting principles to prepare and manage the state budget, and the elimination of one-time gimmicks from the budget process. Death and taxes, politics, and corruption. Americans have become so used to corruption in government that we barely even notice it anymore. Scandals involving some of the state's highest-ranking officials have left New Yorkers jaded, and with good reason. We must hold our elected officials to the highest standards and to hold those found guilty of transgressions accountable. Accordingly, I have pledged to support ethics legislation, calling for comprehensive financial disclosure and the formation of a state commission with real teeth to investigate and prosecute violations. One of the most insidious ways career politicians perpetuate their power involves redistricting. Every 10 years after the census has been completed, the lines defining our electoral districts are redrawn. Through a process known as gerrymandering, the party in power in effect chooses the voters they want and draws those lines to give a huge advantage to the incumbents, making it virtually impossible for any opposition to challenge them. The districts will be redrawn in 2011. One high-ranking politician has said that if his party has the majority, he will draw the lines so that the opposing party, quote, will be in oblivion in the state of New York for the next 20 years, unquote. To promote democracy and ensure that the redistricting process will be constitutional and fair, I have pledged to support reforms that call for independence and transparency, the drawing of districts that are contiguous and do not favor any party or candidate, and guarantees not to deny minority voting rights. Our state faces many difficult challenges in the years ahead. Common sense tells us that we cannot continue to spend money we don't have and remain solvent. We must create a climate that encourages businesses to grow and thrive in New York if we're to retain and grow the jobs base we'll need to sustain us. Albany must be cleaned up. Hard choices must be made. New, principled, and resolute leadership will be required. If I am so honored as to become your servant in the New York State Assembly, I pledge on my honor to try and live up to those lofty goals.